Hello, everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast as part of a Spectra dossier. This audio podcast as part of a path storm. This audio podcast as part of a Shine Squadron. Audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics. This audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics production. In this audio podcast as part of a Spectra dossier P2. This synopsis will this synopsis or this audio podcast this audio podcast edition will go into or delve into the the outcomes as part of the varying the strategies that were part of sort of the initiative and campaign works around the Lord Mayor of Bristol Southwest in the United Kingdom in around the works between 2013 and 2015. So this audio podcast will delve into looking at the outcomes per strategy that have been sort of iterated in the audio podcast series, the Spectra dossier originally and so this synopsis in this synopsis sort of looking at the the sort of overview in regard to the as part the sort of as part of the peer reviewed and published works from 2015. So promoting or highlighting the need or requirement to increase the blood and solid organ transplant from and amongst those in BAME communities has been ongoing, and the campaign this initiative works in the southwest in the United Kingdom have been prompting the awareness, and so in 2013 a health awareness campaign commenced in the city of Bristol Southwest and involved 5 influential organisations. The Lord Mayor of Bristol set out to highlight the importance of blood and solid organ transplantation in amongst BAME communities who can be still unaware completely of how solid organ transplantation and blood can help save lives. Ultimately, the campaign aimed to increase the blood increased blood and solid organ transplant pool amongst those in the in amongst the population in the peer review published works. The authors summarize the main sort of campaign strategies and the main campaign strategies, but also where this audio podcast series will look at the outcomes in around the strategies. The strategies being looking at education, awareness, and promotion, the science behind blood transfusion and solid organ transplantation, ethics, faith and cultural beliefs. Looking at the centric strategy, one of the centric strategy, looking at reporting and dissemination. The again the work of the campaign, or the work around the campaign have been quite expansive or extensive, and in this audio podcast series there will be an overview in regard to the numbers of those who sought to sign up to the blood sign up to the blood and organ transplant donation registries in around that time between 2013 and 2000 and in around 2000 in around and specifically around 2013. The peer-reviewed and published works in around 2015 sort of highlights an overview where listeners can sort of look to look at the works, and wherever listeners are can sort of prompt the same works in varying on other varying sort of regions where there is a sort of where an objective is to bring a more to bring sort of a more awareness. So that draws this audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast is part of a Spectra Dossier. This audio podcast is part of a SZtorm. This audio podcast is part of a Giant Squadron. This audio podcast is part of a Storm Robotics production. This audio podcast as part of a Spectra Dossier P2.